Okay, greetings everyone. We are live, and it is time to do the criticism sucks of Synthetic Man. It's been a long time coming. A few people offered me suggestions to cover this channel, and I figured I might as well do it in 3 videos. The first one's going to be about Tears of the Kingdom is not a masterpiece by Synthetic Man, then God of War Ragnarok is not a masterpiece. Seems to be an ongoing trend in these videos with the naming convention. Then we have Spider-Man 2 is a disgusting piece of woke propaganda. We already kind of know where he's coming from, grifter style, alt-right style. I'm pretty sure this is the crux of the channel. It's going to be complaining about a bunch of these issues, probably turning non-issues into issues, and a lot of grifter bait going on. I mean, honestly, it's a lot of rent due with a lot of these channels, and they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't have the deeper confine of understanding what is going on with a certain story. I'm not the biggest Zelda fan. I never claimed to be a giant Zelda fan on my channel. In fact, I talked about it before, and I said, I'm not really too in depth with the series, but I guess this waveform of saying that the story is the worst story of all time probably speaks for itself, with the legions of Zelda fans that probably mudhole stomped him into the ground. I'm gonna check that out and see what he has to say, since that is arguably the most watched and worst part of the video, and we will go from there into the next slew of videos. So once again, hopefully you sit back, relax, and let's get this party started. Let's strap in for a joyride.
And I don't want to talk about the story in detail because it's not really interesting. This might actually be the worst story in Zelda yet as well, though I'm sure people will bring up one of the 2D games or maybe like Spirit Tracks or something. I don't really care. I mean, of like the high budget 3D ones, this is probably the worst story. It doesn't even feel like a sequel. 80% of the characters have no idea who the hell Link is, despite the fact it's only been like 5 years. Yeah, okay, all of the major players from Breath of the Wild remember Link and know he saved the world.
Okay, that's weird logic. He says that some of the key players or major characters don't know who Link is, despite the fact that he saved the world 5 years ago, and then he reiterated and brought that up again and corrected himself, saying, "Yeah, maybe they do remember him, just maybe." But how would they forget him saving the entire planet? How? Especially if there's key players who remember that. What kind of sense does that make? That is an instant contradiction as soon as he started talking. And I'm not even deep and delved and fucking saying that this is a masterpiece story at all. I'm just saying from common sense clues, that is erroneous.
But there's no evidence of Calamity Ganon's damage. The Divine Beasts are gone. I don't even think they're referenced in dialogue. This is a bit of a spoiler, so feel free to skip if you, for some reason, care about the story of this game. Zelda goes back in time to when Hyrule was founded, essentially, or a little bit after that. Meets the first king and queen of Hyrule, which the king was a fucking goat man, and the queen was a, we'll say, dark elf. So this
Oh god, no. Let's say a dark elf. So already it seems that he's pointing to some racial connotations. I'm pretty sure Nintendo fans in the comments can point out exactly a lot of the wrong that he's been saying, but already it's just a recipe for a disaster in my mind. I'm sure this is not going to be the end of this trope of ranting on the darker characters, but let's continue onward.
we'll say dark elf. So despite the fact that the Gerudo are clearly supposed to be like the Middle Eastern inspired race, I guess you
What the fuck? Middle Eastern inspired race. Okay, now I just think that he's looking at certain people in armor or indigenous soldiers, and he's just sort of saying, "Oh, you're Middle Eastern or you're dark. I have a problem," or this just like is my conspiracy as to what this represents in the game. Instead of just saying like, why don't you refer to them like look at Wiki or something and refer to them as their actual names and tribes and not trying to draw correlations to them looking like Middle Easterns. Like, what the what is, this is a fantasy setting game, right? Where none of these worlds that we live in these games apply to real life at all. So that's the I don't know if he's trying to like just break that immersion for himself, but I just would assume this is gonna be drilled in more and more. Oh my god, my brain. My fucking brain. You just take my brain out and like skull fuck it, and I'm pretty sure that is more of a interesting and pleasant experience than to watch this Synthetic Man video. Oy, oy vey.
You could say, but they might even be a different species than Hylians, I'm not sure. They could be like Asari and just take genetic material from Hylians.
Asaris? From Mass Effect? This is nothing like the Asari, bro. What are you talking about? They're blue. He's just saying these dark-skinned elves are equivalent to these aliens in Mass Effect, and it's like, this is definitely the conspiracy theory tin hat section of the fucking video. Like, what in God's name are you blabbering about? Like, seriously, like, level with me here. Like, how much are they paying you to be stupid? Because that's what you are, and I think a lot of people that like the panhandle on the street, they want some of that money, motherfucker. Like, oh, God. This is worse than I thought. I'm just sitting on this. This is awful. Man. Okay, let's continue. Unfortunately.
To make more Gerudo, right? But no, now there's actually a lot of Hylians that are various shades of brown throughout the world. And
oh my god. Bro, this dude. Oh my god. This dude sounds so racist, holy shit. It's so bad. He sounds so racist, bro. I can't. There's no other way to describe it. It's just point for point. Brown people, brown people, brown people. Game bad. Showing fictional culture. Game bad. That's all I'm hearing right now. And a constant vicious cycle to where it's not even actual constructive reasoning as to why this is a problem, and a lot of correlation to these real life cultures as well. And it's just like, I think you're exaggerating and looking too much into the picture here.
of course, one of the founders of Hyrule set the stage for the entire series, created a wonderful Wakanda-esque utopia, is one of these brown Hylians. Almost literally, we was Kangs and shit. So
I'm waiting for him to pull up his white hood right now. That's all I'm waiting for, bro. He's just pulling. Now it's like Wakanda and all this other shit. Like, what are you? Oh my god. This is, I see why this is the most watched part, because people probably were ripping this section a new asshole. Just completely. Like, I know that's why the waveform is huge right here, because this is where he says the stupidest shit. And it's really reflecting, like, holy fuck. I don't even know where to begin. It's just a lot of bad connotations and bad faith arguments, and the race connotations just standing out, bro. Like, I know you want to be at a rally with Peacemaker's dad. You want Peacemaker's dad, the rabbit hoods, just like, oh shit.
so much for Skyward Sword being the beginning of the series. And to dip into the schizo paint a little bit, the king being a goat man, who are the Zonai people who came from the heavens, is borderline satanic imagery.
What? Okay, now we are delving into Satanism because a goat man exists in a Zelda game. I I literally don't think that this shit can be made up, people. I don't at this rate. Satanism, because of a goat figure existing in a Zelda game, is the top conclusion that Synthetic Man has drawn himself into. And it's a corner that is a recipe for idiocy. Like what exactly? It's like, what are you talking about? I'm sure that was not Nintendo's intention whatsoever. I think what they basically wanted to do is, let's just make a lot of interesting various designs within the world, creatures, monsters, or characters that look abnormal, of course, but they have their own style and flair to them versus whatever the fuck he's talking about. Holy shit. Okay, let's go on. This is curious. This has to be curious to continue.
I have no idea if this is intentional or not, but Japan used to be infamous for putting weird Christian symbolism in anime and occasionally video games. So
Interesting. Just fascinating. I have to turn this to the audience. What do you guys think of him just harping on about all this religion and what the Japanese will put into their games? Now, granted, there are portions from American culture that Japan will put into their games, and also a lot of stuff taken from their cultures and folklores, as well as we've seen with like Siren, Silent Hill. We've seen them take their folklore and warp it into lore. But never have I heard of this guy talking about the Japanese putting the faith into these characters in a Zelda game. That's just, I just think they wanted this thing to look eccentric and cool at the same time. That's it. Golden horns. Where are you getting Satanism and Christianity from? Like, okay, I can see if it is a deity, because there is some deities that hearken themselves to gods, and sometimes that will be placed in the random occasional area in some animated media. I've seen that before. But to say this is just, I have no idea. I'm at a loss for fucking words on this guy. I swear to God. I'd rather have these gold horns like just shoved into my urethra than to listen to this video further.
So this could be an extension of that, or again, if you want to take the schizo angle, this is a result of a certain cult organization full of quote-unquote elites that
He called him a cult. Oh my god. Oh, this might be the weirdest tinfoil hat guy I have ever covered on Criticism Sucks. And I seen some crazies. I seen some crazies. You seen your crazies covered during Dead Space, Resident Evil, all sorts of shit. You've seen your crazies out there, but this guy takes the cake because he is laden with the conspiracies. And he said it himself, he's going like just off the fringe schizo with judging and being judgmental on everything he sees. And it's just not sound and reasonable logic, even to the people who probably know of this game really well with the story, characters, and culture. They probably aren't fitting to agree.
are subtly inserting their propaganda into video games. There's all sorts of little nuggets of wokeness, like,
Oh, here we go. What the fuck? It just immediately goes onto a character that is yellow, and I think I have an idea where this is going. This is not going in a place that is the most sane or rational.
Paya now having a giant brown boyfriend who looks like a Giga Chad in comparison to Link, despite the fact she was thirsting for his dick in the last one.
Oh my god. Bro, I'm dying. I'm trying so hard not to laugh.
Not to mention the quote-unquote subtle homosexual imagery from Breath of the Wild has been expanded even further in this one, and I already know people are gonna say I'm reading into it and no kid's gonna see this shit, but that's
is he trying to say that because of this random shark character lending Leak something in his, like, whatever this glowing thing is, he's lending Link something to his hand, probably some power or something, that represents homosexual imagery? Fascinating logic, just mental ward logic. It only belongs in an asylum at this rate.
into it, and no kid's gonna see this shit, but that's exactly how you
Oh, because you do a fucking prayer power up to your friend and you want to help him on his journey. This causes homosexual imagery. I'm fucking baffled. I'm just...
You desensitize people and how you groom them, right? You expose them to things. The vow that each of the new
I think he just made him more powerful. That's all he did. I don't think there's some sort of imagery at all pressed in the mix. His arm's glowing. He's probably more powerful now that he has his power-up arm that he can do massive damage to his enemies with. I think what you said earlier about I'm looking into it too much is one of those problems that you have as a personal problem. It's not the game's fault, it's your fault. That's the first thing I'm gonna say.
stages takes to Link looks like they're proposing to him. And Sidon...
Just because you give him a fucking power-up, it means you're fucking proposing to him? What the fuck are you talking about?
The giant shark guy...
Bro, there's no way this is serious. I skipped ahead by accident too. Holy fuck. Oh, because he has a ring, which is probably a power-up. That's so stupid, though, that he believes this is a marriage proposal material.
Well, now, him quite literally putting a ring on his finger...
I knew that's what he was gonna say, too. I fucking knew it. He's just giving him powers, though. Or something, or maybe that's like a key. I don't know what the purpose of this ring is, but I assume is to, once again, help Link on his journey.
And man, their relationship is too fucking weird, dude. I don't care that they literally give him a wife in the story.
You don't care that they give the shark person a wife, but you call the shark person homosexual. Even though he's married to a woman. That don't make no sense. How in fuck's name does that make sense? He's married to a woman, but you said he's married to Link at the same time. Unless he's like polyamorous or something. I have no idea, but I assume that you were jumping the gun like a dog jumping for kibbles and bits off a tree. It's just one or the other. His brain is a bubble of shit. Literally speaking. And there are people out there that will defend this person. Synthetic Man. The Synthetic Man, who's been harping on brown people for like literally almost 10 minutes. It blows my mind immensely.
Not convinced. Link was already
I'm not convinced, even though the game shows his wife. What the fuck?
Dresser before this game. Not to mention, an actual child, a bird child, is one of the other sages.
Hold out your hand.
Wait, did he say Link was a cross-dresser? Let me go back. Let me go back.
Link was already a cross-dresser before this game.
He did. Oh. Damn, this video's awful. I can see why people really don't like it. This is melting my mind.
Not to mention, an actual child, a bird child, is one of the other sages.
Hold out your hand.
Okay, what's wrong with that? centric animal coming. Pull out your hand. I'm gonna give you something.
Jesus, he's hand-mogged by everyone. He's hand-mogged by a child.
He's hand-mogged by a child. Ah, God, this is so bad.
Link was destined to be a bottom. It's over.
What the fuck? He just... He said he was destined to be a bottom, but he's talking about him shaking his hand to a child character. What are you on about, bro?
And Riju's a Gerudo, and if you've seen any of their Rule 34, you know they're usually sporting a little something.
Motherfucker, why are you looking at Rule 34 of all things? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your brain? What are you doing on that website? Stop. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Something extra. Come. That's why I'm going doing your pussy tonight, Link. Though obviously.
What the? Okay. Alright. It's just eccentric and weird there. Move on.
Obviously, that's not canon, but you get the point, man.
This is just like 50 Shades of fanfiction made by Synthetic Man. And he is living out the moment right now. Right now, before the audience. I don't think anyone should take this video with a lick of sincerity and seriousness in the process. There's just no fucking way. It's just no way, fam. Okay, let's continue on.
And every character that vows to him might as well be male, figuratively. Now, honestly,
He really wants everyone to be all over Link's cock. Like, he just says it every second. Male characters all over Link's cock, or brown characters bad, or somehow Christianity and Satanism is involved in what these characters do in the Zelda world, okay? Very bad opinions, very bad faith opinions, but okay. I can possibly see some of the deities in the inspirations of some of them. I could see that, but everything else is just a pile of horsefuck. 100%.
believe that, but it is weird enough to be eyebrow raising. Certainly worth making fun of at the very least.
Oh, I'm sure it is to you, Mr. Hater of brown people.
And perhaps more importantly than this weird schizo tangent is the fact that time travel.
Hey, I mean, at least he admits that it's a very psychopathic logic of conspiracy theories and nonsense. So I guess, to his credit, he is somewhat self-aware of some of it, but still, it doesn't make it any more ridiculous just sitting here and witnessing the terror before you guys.
Completely ruins the story of Breath of the Wild. Because if Zelda traveled back in time, however many years, she could have just told the Hylians never to build the Divine Beast because Ganon would corrupt them and end up killing everybody.
Someone correct him on this logic, if possible.
And then Breath of the Wild would never happen. Again, it doesn't feel like a sequel at all because Breath of the Wild might as well be ignored for the sake of this game's story.
Someone correct him on that logic, if possible. Again, I have not played Breath of the Wild.
Another reason why this story sucks is because it has the tendency to re-explain things you already know or easily figured out early on. Not even counting the spoiler about Zelda, there's various plot details that are shown to you over and over again. Every time that you defeat a boss in one of the temples, you're given the same exact flashback with Ganondorf. And even the various tiers that give you the memories across the map show very similar scenes. Even if they're different parts of the same scene, often you'll view the actual spoiler part before you view the setup, and then the setup scene is pointless, because the arrangement of scenes across the map seems almost completely random. There's a chance
maybe they're doing that whole sequence in medias res, and you have to get the certain fragments to see each part of the story and what's going on. Just a little bit of a guesstimation there, I guess, because I've seen this mechanic before. You get pieces to a fragment, unlock story. It kind of, I don't know if this is the proper comparison, but it kind of happens in Assassin's Creed a little bit. with some of the fragments that you can get or DNA sequences to find out gradual pieces of the story. And I think Web of Intrigue also is something like that in Prototype. I'm not sure if it's the exact same, but I've seen this mechanic done before in video games. I wouldn't be surprised if it works to the same degree or similar or in some fashion. Correct me if wrong in the comments.
Chance that you could view the biggest spoiler in the game as the very first tier. I believe it's just directly north of the starting point of the map. But despite this, the story treats every player as if they didn't do any optional content. I remember getting to the end of the Spirit Temple.
Well, if you're getting these tiers, I would assume that's part of the content, right? You're saying it's not treating the player as if they're doing that content, but he just gave a tip on where to find a very important tier in the game to explain the story. Make it make sense.
And having Minoru explain something that was already told me at least 3 fucking times, and then I believe Pora repeats it again immediately afterward. Just because it's a game for children doesn't mean children are stupid.
Yeah, I think you're drunk. Oh, let's move on to God of War. Oh my god, this story section is long as fuck. This is like an hour. Jesus Christ. Christ on a cracker. Okay then.
So now it's finally time to get to the story. As you can probably tell by how much is left of the video, I had a lot to say, and most of it is not positive.
Oh, I bet you did.
As hard as I tried up until this point to be as fair as I possibly could to this game, this is about where that stops. I fucking hated this story. I honestly struggled to think of anything I actually liked about it. And I mean anything. And there's a reason that non-Sony fans call these games movie games, because they really are fucking movies.
Well, in God of War, you're doing hack-a-slash combat sequences. Side content, you got the little, I forgot what their names are, the stone pillar things and the flame pillar things that you could fight. You could do those. It's a lot of content. Collectibles, finding the little upgrades for your character, Kratos, getting stuff for Atreus, enhancing yourself, armors. It's a lot going on in God of War. RPG elements, cutscenes are a factor, but there is also combat. You got the Blaze of Chaos, you got the Leviathan Axe, you got the Dropnir Spear. You can do all these crazy combos whether you play as Atreus, who plays completely differently from Kratos. In God of War Ragnarok, there's also the stellar boss fights. The game opens with a boss fight of fighting Thor. One of the most interesting things ever is that Thor knocks out Kratos. He kills him, and then he revives him with the Mjolnir hammer. And you think it's a game over screen, but he's like, no, I'm not done with you yet. And then he revives you, and everybody's hype. So it's a lot more going on in this game as opposed to just the basic patented movie game. This is not an interactive drama. I think you got this confused for something else.
70% of this game is some type of cutscene. 70% is not spent actually.
Probably a very exaggerated number. I guess you can, I would say maybe 50? Could be lower too, but again, he's forgetting all the open world aspects to begin with. Even though I don't like this yak section, this is the only, and it has combat encounters here too, which people say this is like just the cornerstone of cinematics, and that's all they do is split that in there, but they don't mention the combat sections with Atreus during this Ironwood part, which is what I think this is.
The fucking game. Down to some of the QuickTime events not even being real QuickTime events, as in you cannot fail them.
Well, he showed a fight sequence. Come on, do it!
Okay, you don't want me to hit the prompt, right?
Press the button.
Oh no, you have infinite time, don't you? Yeah, oh my god.
Well, that might be a point there. I prefer quick time events. Well, I really don't like quick time events, but I do prefer if there is some time to press the button, and maybe if you get killed during the sequence. But then again, some people also correlate that to press X to not die. So there is that. Like, oh, I go to take a piss during the cutscene, and well, I'm fucking done. What was I supposed to do there? It's just like, yeah. So it's kind of like a catch-22 in a sense. I can go to the bathroom. I could pause the game during this. It's no danger, of course. I do prefer the bloody and gruesome death scenes of God of War 2, the original. That was awesome. Kratos could get his like fucking head caved in by Zeus with the blade of Olympus. Oh man, that was like relishing old times when those like fail time events happen and you get the death scenes. But still, it's not the biggest deal in the world to me.
10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10.
I still wouldn't say it's a major fault of the game. Just press the button and hurry up the sequence. That's it, dude. You're just sort of padding the count there. You're padding the sync count, bro. That's all you're doing is padding the sync count.
Every game Sony makes is a fucking masterpiece. Normally, I would never spend over half a video talking about this story, but when over half the game is the story, I fear I have no choice. So here we go, the complete story breakdown of God of War Ragnarok. So Ragnarok is a direct sequel to the last one, to no surprise, but there has been a time skip. I think it's an undefined amount of time, so I'll just assume it's 4.
I might skip ahead. You already got that wrong. Correction, it's 3 years since the last God of War game. So yay! Misconception. Let's see. Let's look at this part. I'm just gonna skip around a little bit.
At his fattest had more muscle definition than anyone who says...
Oh, this... Okay, so he's gonna be ranting on Thor being the way he is, which is Norse accurate Thor of, being a bulbous guy, I'm sure everyone just expected Thor to be the Chris Hemsworth Thor in God of War Ragnarok, which is fucking weird because that couldn't be any more further from the truth. That's not how Thor looks like.
Man has never actually seen a strong man. Even Eddie Hall at his fattest had more muscle definition than this. Whatever, I'm wasting too much time on this.
Dude, Thor is not Hemsworth Thor. I hate that. I always hated that logic. I always couldn't stand it. I always thought it was erroneous. I just always thought it was shit. So let's pass that off.
Basically, Odin came to offer peace. Kratos refuses, which might as well...
And Thor is still a fucking G, too, in this game. He almost kills Kratos, like, multiple times.
Be a declaration of war. Just keep that in mind for later. And so you get your first huge boss battle with Thor, which actually was really fun. One of the most fun parts of the game, for sure. Very similar to the first game where you fight Baldur in the beginning. And we also find out during that conversation that Atreus somehow was sneaking off during the in-between years, searching for Tyr in the other realms. And of course, Odin found out, as he has spies everywhere. So Kratos eventually decides, okay, son, let's go look for Tyr. Which they put off for no reason, by the way. That was so obviously the setup of the previous game. Why do they keep trying to make Kratos the reluctant protagonist? And honestly, the truth is, he's not even really the real...
I swear, don't they find Tyr eventually in this game? Well, he's not the real Tyr. It's not the real one. It's kind of Odin in disguise, but they still fulfill that mission that they wanted to accomplish in the last game. It might not be the mission that they wanted to accomplish when it all is found out, but then you find Tyr in some sort of lockup in a side mission, I believe. So they find the real Tyr eventually, and I think that's going to tie into the story of the next game, which is supposedly a standalone Atreus spinoff. Yeah, I don't think you should have pointed that out, because I knew this the whole time.
Protagonist of this game, Atreus is, and you play as Atreus for roughly half the game, and his gameplay segments are the worst. They're completely fucking brain dead. it basically turns the game into a third-person shooter where you just charge up elemental arrows and then charge up normal arrows, and the game has such generous aim assist that you don't even feel like you're playing the fucking game.
Play it on Gimme God of War, and I guarantee you that just shooting arrows will be the least of your troubles. Normal scrub. Just you cannot get away with charged arrows in Gimme God of War. I played it on that, where you gotta use combos. You gotta use runic abilities. Motherfuckers will be hitting you once and you'll be dying. So yeah, it's not just shooting your arrow unless you played it on easier difficulty.
I purposely didn't talk about Atreus during the combat section because it would be purely negative.
Also, I mean, again, he says it's just shooting arrows, but he just turned into the Fenrir wolf. Right there. He just turned into it and he's eating the enemy alive.
Even on hard mode, his segments were completely fucking brain dead. I think I only died one time, and it's because I wasn't paying attention.
I doubt that. I think that's a lie. I've played on Gimme God of War. I died multiple times. I think what he did was he said, "Oh, this is too much for me. I'm gonna turn that motherfucker back down to normal. I'm not built for this. I'm not built for this." And I've been like playing this style since the first iteration, which was the first reboot, God of War 2018, and that kind of kicked my ass a little bit on higher difficulty, but I don't believe that he died just once. There's no fucking way. That game has some of the most grueling segments with Atreus on harder modes. There's no way he just soloed all that. If he did, then I need stream evidence, because that could easily be a lie. That could be a lie. That could be a lie.
Anyway, so rather anticlimactically, you find Tyr in Svartalfheim, the dwarf realm, and Ryan Johnson's subversion number
Svartalfheim.
3, the God of War is a fucking pussy.
Why? He said Kratos is a pussy? What? Okay, I gotta hear this logic.
And he does absolutely nothing for the most of the story. Now, obviously, those of you who finished the game know why, and in retrospect, it is slightly justified.
Alright, so you know that those Sisters of Fate-esque people telling Kratos if he decided to be on the route of a destroyer that it would ultimately get Kratos killed and Atreus would be more susceptible to Odin's deception, right? If he decided to go in there and try to kill everybody, fight Thor, eventually get his wife and child killed, Thor gets mad and he fucking kills Kratos permanently. And they alluded to this in the whole story, as that pops up, my bad. But they alluded to this in the whole story, saying that, hey, if you continue on this route of being a bloodthirsty murderer, you are going to die. And that's going to be it. So that's why, eventually, after his wife convinces him and Kratos stops being an asshole, that ultimately saves his life. And so when he fights Thor again, he drops arms and he says, you know, we have to be better for the sake of our kids. And you're saying it's justified, meaning you agree with this logic, saying that the story of this makes sense, but it is the worst story of all time in your perspective, but you understand what is going on. So I just want to pick his brain, like, what exactly is he talking about? It's just like oh man, this is awful. This is la basura.
Considering the twist, this still comes across like the developers spitting in the face of the player because they spent so much time building up Tyr in the last game.
How, Shui? Tyr killing Brock makes, I mean, well, not Tyr himself, but Odin, disguised as Tyr, killing Brock sends a strong message to the game and shows he's a villain that you want to see dead at the end of the game. And he kills off a very relevant and important side character. And it was shocking. But somehow it spits in the face of the people who played the first game. Right. It's just, let's get. I don't want to continue, man. I think I want to throw in the dial.
That when we finally meet him, he's fucking worthless. Then in the next section of the game, the characters don't really know what to do, and one of the major themes of the game reveals itself being that Kratos is an overprotective father, and despite being the god of war, he doesn't want war, which actually doesn't make any sense given what we saw at the beginning of the game when Kratos refuses Odin's offering of peace. Seriously, somebody explain this. He doesn't want war, yet he refused peace. You can't.
I thought all of the stuff that the head was saying, Odin was not meant to be trusted. Therefore, that's why he refused? Right? Because, I mean, you look at the high gods like Zeus, Odin, they have been literal dirtbags to all of their, all of their people and even most of their associates. I mean, fucking Odin stabs Zeus. I mean, not Zeus. He stabs fucking Thor in the neck at the end of the game. Although that would be funny if Odin stabbed Zeus. I'd be laughing. But yeah, that happens at the end of Ragnarok. And it shows what type of person Odin is, which is someone not to be trusted, which is someone that is a deceiver, which is someone that would eventually and ultimately turn on Kratos anyway. So you're accepting a deal from the devil. That's what you're saying. You want to be stabbed in the back, synthetic man. That's what you're saying. You see it coming from a mile away? Oh, you won't see it coming. Oh boy.
Can't have it both ways. And so he doesn't trust Atreus off on his own because, yeah, he's only a teenager. But Atreus sneaks off anyway to go try and make peace with Freya. And this whole plotline's fucking stupid. They killed her son. There's no fucking way Freya would ever team up with Kratos, but eventually they do convince her way later. But for now, of course, she refuses and she almost kills Atreus, and I was absolutely rooting for her at this part. Do it.
Dude. She would not do that. Imagine fucking Kratos. She'd get killed by Kratos. I'm kind of glad that Freya and Kratos now have this bond, this sexual tension that's probably going to be explored in the next game. But I thought that was like one of the best parts, honestly. We wanted to save Freya, and Santa Monica just gave that to the players. We wanted, because we knew, even though Baldur's Neck turned into a broken twig in God of War 2018, we knew that we wanted to save her. Deep down, even though it was a complicated situation, it was the right move to go in the way of, now we have this new ally in our midst, and of course, she's a bloodthirsty animal at the beginning of the game, but Freya was misguided. Because of that, her son was trying to kill her. And that's what Atreus and Kratos, and they eventually got through to her. He even says, like, you're better than this. And you see the look in her eyes. Like, she knows it. You're better than this. You don't want to hurt us. I don't know if you understand the conventions of storytelling, where it's like, in a traditional story, if there is a conflicted character, even this shit happened. You shit on Rian Johnson and all this other stuff with Star Wars, and even he kind of was. Well, I wouldn't say Last Jedi. I would say the first one, Force Awakens. Even he conveyed not Rian Johnson. Who the fuck directed that movie? I don't know. I'm getting all topsy turvy now. I think it was J.J. Abrams. But it was conveyed in there with Kylo Ren and him trying to decide if he's going to kill Han Solo or not. with the lights on the side. One's red, one's blue. It's like, I don't know if I could make this decision of being free. He doesn't want to kill his father, but he kills him. And that's just one of the examples. Like, there is good in him, but there is also evil. That is the crux of a conflicted character. Again, I haven't seen Star Wars in a long time, at least some of the new ones. So I'm sorry for that little bit of a mix-up there between Last Jedi and Force Awakens. But I had to jog my memory in real time.
Kill him. Do it.
And of course, he's also referencing Star Wars, which shows he really didn't pay attention to the struggle within of Kylo Ren.
But no, she lets him go.
It's some of the same stuff here. Like, yeah, of course. We want to save her. And we do that, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh. And funny enough, I actually forgot what happened in the next couple hours of gameplay. I had
Ratatasker! Okay, he's so mad in the fucking... You see that? I completely forgot about this asshole. So he's so mad at Ratatasker. And Pro ZD, like, what is with the random anger in the text there, buddy? Are you okay? Is everything fine? You have a boo-boo over Pro ZD? Is everything gonna be better? Did he fuck your mom? Maybe he did. God! That's angry right there.
had to review my footage because I literally forgot why the crew then goes to Alfheim. It turns out it was to seek
I forgot the story. I fucked up.
wisdom from Groa, the Keeper of Knowledge. And eventually, after fighting your way through the now Light Elf-dominated landscape, and guess what? The Light Elves are bad too! Everyone's a bad guy in war, who would have thought? Are the developers trying to tell me that Ukraine aren't the universal good guys who are gonna save the world?
What the fuck? Why did he bring up Ukraine when mentioning God of War? Did you seriously hear that? Oh man, this video, the Synthetic Man videos are a disaster. This is like zero. This is like 0.0.0. This is like bad, dude. There's no W's with them. Zero points on the board. No free shots. No free throws. Nothing.
And defeat those evil fascists in Russia?
What the fuck? He's bringing up the Russia-Ukraine war in a God of War video. A mythological war zone talking about Norse mythology. He's bringing up Russia and Ukraine comparisons. I'm not kidding. He put the needle in my fucking arm right now. Give me the crack. I'm not kidding. Oh, God almighty Lord, this is too funny.
I'm surprised that somebody hasn't tried to cancel Sony Santa Monica for this.
What the fuck? He really said that, though. Oh my God. This is awful, man.
After fighting your way to the end of the level, the gang discovers that the prophecy that Groa told Odin was a lie, and that Ragnarok would not be the end of all things, but only Asgard specifically. And Atreus now believes that he will be the champion that leads all these armies. Kratos obviously does not like the idea of this, again, now that he's a cartoonishly overprotective father. And so the writers decided we don't have enough forced melodrama yet, so we get a kind of bizarre moment.
But what if Loki going to Ironwood is the only way that...
Atreus, my son, and nothing more. Do you hear me?
I'm not hungry anymore.
Go to your room. No dinner.
My words were chosen carelessly.
It should take his bow, too. Take his bow. He's grounded. Am I the only one who thinks Sindri is like a groomer or a pedophile or something?
Oh my God. He really implied that. Hold on, let me go back.
Bow, too. Take his bow. He's grounded. Am I the only one who thinks Sindri is like a groomer or a pedophile or something?
He implied Sindri was a pedophile. We're not making this up. It's not like this is someone who wants to mentor Atreus and console him because his father said, "You cannot go on this journey. Fuck that. This prophecy. You're my son." And it's a big lesson because he learns to trust Atreus more as the game develops. It's like put trust in what's important, and that's the trust of your own kin. Just had to clear my throat for a second, but you know what I'm saying. How long has this video gone? This is amazing. Okay, this is almost an hour. We're almost done. I think I could tolerate maybe a good 20 more minutes or so, and that's a wrap.
Every single time Atreus is by himself, Sindri is also there as like a creepy, tiny old man, encouraging all the strange whims that Atreus has against his father.
Let me check my fucking OBS again. Bro, I can't believe that he called Sindri a pedophile. There's where in God's earth? I have to check my OBS to distract me because I'm just like, where in God's earth did you get that? How? What is the first indication that popped in your head that this was what they were implying? Instead of just trying to console the friend that is obviously, sad right now. That got yelled at, told to fuck off. Not literally, but just told to go to his room by his father. Just where did you get the pedophilia claim? That's just, I know you're a conspiracy theorist, but this is one of the worst conspiracies I ever heard. Bro, this is probably the worst analysis on God of War. You thought Zelda was bad. This is worse.
Kind of reminds me of certain Discord communities.
Why is he comparing God of War, pedophilia, and Discord communities all together in one? Like, what is this man on? I've never seen such a adult meth addict before ever trying to make a video. Like, good God, man. They call him Dr. Coker, not Dr. Pepper.
And so now Atreus starts thinking of Ironwood, which earlier Jormungandr told him about, and he is transported into a magical pocket dimension. First, he starts seeing visions of the worst moment from the last game, where as a small child, he kills Thor's son in cold blood. It still pisses me off to this day that Kratos didn't beat his son immediately after that.
If he did beat his son, it would probably get worse and unlock more of that killer instinct that Atreus had during this part. Kratos was scared of what Atreus was becoming. Why would he hit him during this moment? As opposed to consulting his son.
I could probably make a video.
He probably saw himself in the kid, the murderous mentality that Kratos is also himself suppressing as the ghost of Sparta. Therefore, hitting him would not solve the problem. What the fuck?
Just about the emasculation of Kratos in this game, but...
Oh, here we go with that fucking emasculation word with that, and people say that for Kratos and Peter Parker, and they clearly just are on some huffium of not knowing what they're talking about. They are snorting Febreze with the middle of their dick hole. Like, they don't make no fucking sense. This is just awful logic. We're gonna skip ahead to the most played section right about here, and then we're gonna analyze this part and end it here. Oh god, here we go. What is this? I guess this is a rant on the emasculation of Kratos.
Character assassination. You can't convince me for even a second This is the same person that was in the original games. Does anyone remember the
Yep, this is it. This is the perfect point to end off on. I think he lost the point of Kratos having this giant arc of overcoming his rage and becoming a better person, which is a lot more nuanced than people give it credit for. Kratos has always been a three-dimensional character, just folks failed to see it even in the older God of Wars when he was sympathetic and he was seeing visions of his daughter in some of the prequels, and he was caring back then. He was caring in God of War 3 to Pandora. Just people didn't see it. And that's quite that is remarkable. That is not a failure of the game. That is a failure of perception for the story.
time that Kratos crushed a woman under a fucking lever to hold a door open? A completely innocent woman.
Lord Kratos! Do not leave me!
Honestly, just making Kratos a mature, wise old man was a horrible idea in the first place. There's
Again, Kratos, and they explore this too. Kratos is not a monster anymore. Well, he kind of is in ways, but his son sees his behavior now. And when you have a child that's alive and not dead, and knowing that you killed your previous child because of bloodlust, you're gonna want to learn some life lessons from that. You're gonna want to not to repeat the same mistakes again, because if you do, then you're just gonna set yourself up for the same events to repeat itself once again. Even in the game, the Ghost of Sparta for Kratos almost came out again, and it was violent. It was brutal. It was downright disgusting, but it was a warning.
There's no way they could ever pull it off in a realistic way. So anyway, you fight your way through, you make your way to the World Tree of Roots, and Neathhogue, the guardian of Yggdrasil, shows up, and you just straight up kill her. Are there any lasting consequences of killing the guardian of the World Tree? Of course not, and I'm not going to count a side quest where you have to find her children.
I thought you just said you wanted Kratos to have brutality again. Like, what the fuck? You see this brutal moment, and it's just like, oh, he should be brutal again. Oh wait, he's brutal again. Where's the consequence? Where is this? Where is that? And it's just like, okay. I'm done listening to this video. I'm just checking the time to see how much time I have left. Losing my voice. I'm losing my sanity to this guy. I'm gonna try to get through the Spider-Man portion. This is going to be great. Let's see. Oh my god, there's a lot of rants in here. I'm just going to skip to the juicy bits, as they say. And let's go from there. Spider-Man 2 with Mr. Synthetic Man and what he has to say about it. There we go.
Man 2. Okay, that's pretty much everything that I even vaguely liked about the game. We're only going downhill from here. I pretty much have nothing else to say positively about this game. I honestly don't even know where to begin. I guess we can stick with the sandbox for now, and we'll cover the story later. There's a lot of story-based side quests in this game that are tagged with the superhero app that this fat Asian kid named Genki made for you. I never played the Miles...
Ooh, that is very offensive, dude. Or that's probably his true feelings, because we know how he feels about brown people, Asian people, so it's just the racism creeping out once more. It's definitely on purpose. I'm going to take a short break real quick, but I'm going to come back. So hold on. Well, I am back after that much deserved Water break. Let's continue reacting to Synthetic Man's Spider-Man 2 video.
Morales game for obvious reasons. So I had no idea who the fuck this kid is, and I really don't care if he's been featured in the comics. He's a lame character. I don't like him. Spider-Man is a genius. He can make his own fucking gadgets, okay?
There's a lot of wrong there in the first place. So, Peter Parker is capable of making gadgets, whereas Miles Morales doesn't have that same scientific brain that Peter Parker does, which is why Genki exists. You complete buffoon, you freaking idiot. So, Genki, the guy who makes Miles' stuff, is the one who helps him prepare. What are you talking about? That is why Genki is Miles' sidekick in Marvel Spider-Man. Well, Miles Morales in this one, I gotta be very, very clear on which game I'm talking about, but you know what I mean.
Stop taking shit away from him. Oh wait, this whole game takes shit away from him, but we'll get to that. Hold on. So through this stupid superhero app, instead of Spider-Man solving real problems like supervillains robbing banks or killing people,
you can stop random crime.
He decides to help randos who have some kind of trivial issue they could easily solve themselves.
It's a part of being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, helping the neighborhood person out as a hero, which is why Spider-Man is referred to as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Novel concept, right?
For example, you help some black woman find her grandpa.
Oh, he's on about the black person, man. You can tell this motherfucker's racist, man. I swear, because the way he just says it, the way he says it, the black person, the way he says it, it is absolute racism. He got that hate behind his voice. Although this dude come around here, he come around, hey, like black neighborhood talking all that jive, man. He gonna get his ass whooped. He gonna get his ass whooped. That's usually how it goes with people like that. You talk under your breath, motherfucker. That's all you gonna be doing. It's like, I swear to God, this is some of the most racist connotations coming from this dude, and he knows he couldn't hit the side of a barn. Man, it's just Jesus Christ, man.
Grandpa who's gotten lost in Central Park or something, and you legitimately waste your time walking around the park, finding some random evidence, doing a fucking god-awful mini-game, and this game's...
You can skip the mini-games. It's something that I've learned. When you press the start button, you can skip them.
Full of shitty mini-games, by the way. They're just straight-up padding. They add nothing. They require no brain power. Though I say that, funny enough, I did get stumped by an incredibly easy one at one point.
He says they have no brain power, but he got totally stumped by one of these puzzles. I thought they were relatively easy after a while, after figuring them out. I skipped like maybe one or two of them, but... Dude, you can skip the entire puzzle. It's not even a big deal, but apparently the easy as fuck puzzle apparently stumped you, which is quite baffling to say the least.
Point. Guys, I'm feeling dumb. My dumbness is activating.
He's feeling very dumb and racist. That's why I don't really feel any sympathy for him whatsoever. He's talking a lot of jive, and I'm telling you, man, this dude. Someone do the swirly from Bully, where they put the head in the toilet. He just consumes caca. No, I'm just joking. He just consumes caca. It's just caca. You know, I don't condone none of the back and forth with the bully and the fisticuffs or anything like that, but I'm just saying, man, this guy will not talk racist to any black person whatsoever at all. He's gonna sit in his comfy chair and just be safe and quiet. Like he's not gonna do any of that at all. And that's usually what these people do. It's just so the emphasis on those words are so hatred filled. You could just feel it. Like you can feel this motherfucker racist. Like you can just feel it, dude.
Retard mode engaged. I guess that's another moment for this.
Oh God. I mean, hey, look. I mean, I guess there's no problem with him describing himself. I mean, that's fine.
Son of DSP compilation. But of course, at the
Did he refer to himself as the son of DSP? He made it worse. Oh my God. Oh man, dude. This is funny.
end of this quest line, you find the grandpa. He talks about his wife, and that's it. That's the whole point of the quest, is to...
This is one of the most touching and quite interesting side missions because you feel the humanity, the normality, the idea of life passing on and someone talking about it, and Spider-Man being there to listen. And it's very meaningful, and it's very real, and you know, even though if you don't like the mission, you can kind of commemorate and respect them for trying to do something that's interesting, that's sort of heartfelt, that's touching. And I don't think that I'm gonna say you're possibly a COD, G-fueled, Griffin gaming lover, one of those people that have the attention span the size of a goldfish. You wouldn't get something as deep as this. You really wouldn't. So let's just pass that on by. But I know you're gonna complain about it for the next 10 minutes.
Listen to some old man reminisce about his wife when he was younger. But it gets much worse than that. There's another quest where you help some old black guy.
He said old black. He keeps putting the emphasis on black. You can't tell me he's not racist. Or he has some vendetta or something, dude. He just keeps doing that shit time in and time out. Like, what a piece of scum. I'm just gonna make the claim here. He just sounds like a scumbag. And how can you hate the Howard mission? Like, it's one of the more sadder missions in the game to find out someone from the first one. Of course, he said he doesn't have that connection to the first Spider-Man, and he barely played any of them to this point, so he wouldn't get how this character kind of resonated with people in the first game, so he wouldn't get how impactful the death is for a side character here. It's like all the weight lost because he failed to pay attention to the previous Spider-Man iterations, which is why he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it at all.
Free his pigeons because he's about to die, and so they need to find a new home. And all you do is just swing around the city with pigeons flying around you while a copyrighted song plays. That's the whole fucking mission. And oh, big shock, he's dead when you come back. Ooh, how sad. There's another...
He does not care about emotion and storytelling. None of that. None of that shit. It's just like, oh, skip on by. I feel nothing. They didn't do anything for it. I didn't pay. I didn't pay for the last game. I didn't play the last game. Let me just completely neglected this thing they're trying to set up. It's shocking when Howard dies because you don't expect it. It's out of nowhere. But that is a signal of life. He set the birds free, and now he is free as a spirit. And I totally got what they were going for, and I liked it. This mission I kind of feel iffy about, though. He finally might be cooking after being, like, stuck in the dugouts for, like, all of eternity. Like, it's been, like, literally 28 weeks later. He's still in those dugouts. Alright? I don't think he's gotten a single thing right until this point. And this is about the old woman and the guard dog being reprogrammed to protect her after it's like dug up her yard. And I thought it was kind of stupid, but yeah.
Another side quest where you help some blind woman because apparently there's a monster in her yard. It turns out it's one of these robotic panther enemies, and Genki reprograms it to be a dog, a heckin' pupperino, and you train it by shooting webs at shit in the environment. And of course, you give the robot dog to the lady, which has a fucking rainbow painted on it for some fucking reason. This whole game's like that.
He's like, oh god, the rainbow triggers me. I just thought it was ridiculous to give a killer dog to a blind lady, even if the mind wave is grabbed. It's kind of weird in a sense. Like anything could go wrong. The blind robo dog, you know. So I even though I think it's kind of weird, it's still I guess Spider-Man trying to be generous. It is a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man mission still, but what are the cops gonna say? They're gonna get like mauled to death if they fuck with this lady. So it might be more of a problem than a fix. I can see that opinion right there, but still, you know, it's something they're trying to be cute about. It's nothing that really is something that bothers me in the game.
That's just the tip of the iceberg for that shit. Oh, but it gets worse. It gets much, much worse. There's another mission where you go to Miles' private school and help some Zoomer mutt who I couldn't.
Oh, he put the emphasis of hate on that. Zoomer mutts. You can tell he got something against mixed people. What you got against mixed people, bro? Oh, you're just letting your racism show. I'm just gonna keep saying that. Like, he's a racist piece of shit. I have no respect for him whatsoever. Zero. None. And this is coming from a mutt, yo. I'm a mixed mutt, and fuck 'em. That's kind of how I feel, right? I don't care if you like Synthetic Man. I'm still gonna say fuck 'em, because that is a horrible thing to say. All right, just to have the emphasis of hate and everything. Like, I don't see how people even like this dude, but considering his opinions are outlandish and ridiculous, maybe there's a flock of seagulls like flies to shit. So that's probably majority of the people that do like him. There's a flock of seagulls eating a piece of crap on the sidewalk. Personally, that's bad for your diet, but go ahead, eat that piece of garbage. It's like, that's kind of how I feel.
Couldn't even tell was a woman until I looked closely. Take pictures around the school, including of their fucking esports club. And then the quest all of you were waiting for me to talk about, where you help a gay kid ask this dude out to homecoming. Spider-Man is wasting his fucking time helping some gay kid ask out another gay kid. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, I mean, Spider-Man, considering the music that you're playing, which is the pizza theme from Spider-Man 2 for the PS2, Spider-Man was on the task of delivering pizzas across town. So why wouldn't he help two people try to, you know, get along together? That's something that Spider-Man would do. Again, I think people are missing the friendly neighborhood aspect. It doesn't mean racist and friendly as you are, or maybe you're not so friendly, the not so friendly Synthetic Man. It's friendly neighborhood, so that's involving schools or helping out, or maybe clubs, as you have a problem with school clubs and him taking pictures for people within the school. Just a little bit of a insignia there that it makes sense to the context of what Spider-Man is doing. Now, the quality of gameplay within these missions and people saying that I'd rather go around and beat people up, it's like, okay, fine. But you don't have to do them because they are optional side quests. Unless you're really gunning for the platinum, you never have to see any of these missions that you're crying about. Just reiterating, just saying, if you don't want to play around Spider-Man in a school setting or doing any of this, that's the reason why it's called a side quest. Side, not a main story mission. Completely optional, not even welcoming of your time if you feel it's not worth your time. The 4-letter word SKIP. Skip it. Skip it. Skip it. But again, I think what you wanted to do was find this mission so you can sort of complain about it, which is what you're doing right now. And that's why this whole woke side quest and propaganda thing has a timestamp right here. I mean, pretty much the rent is due, so it's just what you're doing.
What the hell, man? It's not like this is fun. No, you just jump around some rooftops and shoot some webs at some shit, and the game forces you to watch. I literally tried to leave, and the game forced me to web.
I just find that hilarious. Like, bitch, no, stay. You're gonna stay and watch this. You already assumed on the shark guy and Zelda and Link being boyfriends, so this time around you can't skip shit in the side mission. You're the one who initiated it, now you have to finish it.
Back onto the lamppost over and over again. This is what I'm talking about. This is how you know it's propaganda. They're shoving it down your fucking throat. And no, it being an optional side quest is not an excuse, especially since you had no way of knowing what you would see what this quest contained unless you read it on the internet.
You probably did read it on the internet, hence your reaction to it. There's no way that he didn't have the forethought. It's just impossible to me. Although fucking eyebrow. He's so mad. I just find it hilarious. Like I said, the quality of these missions can vary from person to person. I get that. Same time though, it's within the context of Spider-Man to help people, so he would do stuff like this, and he wouldn't discriminate, and he wouldn't say, he was like, go right ahead, you know, you guys are perfect for each other. Like a rational human being, but I don't think you have that in your caliber. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, fam.
It's just a random side quest called Homecoming. But arguably, that's
Why did he put the emphasis on come? The fuck? Just
not even the worst side quest in this game. Oh no, there's one even worse. There's a side quest where you play as Miles' deaf girlfriend walking around spraying graffiti on walls.
optional side quest, by the way.
But what's actually hilarious about this mission, well, two things. First of all, you can actually turn on audio for this deaf girl that's being read by a real deaf person, which is very unintentionally hilarious, and I made the most lowbrow humor jokes imaginable here.
Black history and black futurism. The girl pink reflect better in person. Iconic.
Black futurism.
And basically, here you have it, people. Here's your piece of shit. Making fun of deaf people. Man. Well, he did say that he was an idiot earlier, a certain R word. So, I mean, don't be pretty pissed off, deaf people. I'm pretty sure he's, you know, he's not that bright in the brain at all, whatsoever. That is just insanely insecure of what he's saying right now. So I'm just taking my opportunity to also equally make fun of him, and he just sounds completely stupid.
I want my futurism. Wakanda forever. But in Insomniac's infinite wisdom, because they couldn't have this character talk to herself, at least out loud, because she's deaf, and this is a modern video game, so the protagonist has to comment on what's going on every 5 minutes, or the fucking soulless golem zoomers playing the game.
Golem zoomers? What the fuck? Again, like I said, most of these are just cryptic metaphors to describe himself. So I don't think anyone has anything to worry about. I mean, it's just subhuman, brainless trash, talking out the side of his neck, pouring out piece of shit rhetorics like the piece of shit he is. It's just, you know, this is what happens when your brain is fried and on drugs, which, I mean, it's almost reminiscent of, the most smelliest homeless person in existence, but now I'm just roasting him. Jesus Christ, I thought I was gonna keep it civilized, don't I? I'm just doling out my sarcasm. Don't worry, everything's fine.
would get bored and turn it off, I guess. Instead of making
And turn it off, you piece of shit. Stop fucking ranting about it. Like, it's just like, again, why do people... This is stuff that people want to force themselves to do to have some sort of point against the game. It's an optional side quest. Is these quirky little things they wanted to put in there to resonate with everyone. Like, again, Spider-Man is a representation of a lot of people, and he is a community person. He goes around, and this is, you know, this is the community coming together. Miles' girlfriend experiencing this the first time is just like, again, I have not got to this point with this side mission, but I have a feeling it wouldn't even bother me as much. We've played with multiple characters before. We've witnessed their perspective, their stories. I don't actually find the Mary Jane side missions to be the worst thing in the world when you're playing with her. I should say main missions because she's integrated in there, but I thought her gameplay in Spider-Man 2 was definitely in more securely better than the first iteration, which is what they were going for. It's strange when people say, oh, well, you know, Mary Jane, her sections, I don't want her in the game, but when it comes to a fundamental level, her sections are infinitely superior in Spider-Man 2 than Spider-Man 1. It's like, duh, that's the point that Brian Itahar claimed on multiple podcasts, that this is going to be sections of the game where they are vastly improved from the original. He constantly said that time and time again. I don't know if people have wax in their ears, but that's what he said. As for Miles' girlfriend, it's just like, I think they wanted to make something that resonates and touches with the ASL community. So this is why this section is in the game. And of course, people are going to say, well, it's just pandering to those who want to be represented. And it's like, you know, again, if you don't want to play these missions or you hate representation and stuff like that, you just avoid them and it wouldn't be a big problem. Easy problems have easy solutions. But in your case, the solution is to be what you are, which is what you are, a scumbag. So let's continue on.
making her just think. Emojis pop up on the screen. Deaf people apparently can't think. They don't have words in their head. They can read, but they think in emotes. I get it's so woke, it circles back around to being like racist, sexist, ableist, whatever, you know.
Which is ironic because he's all of the above. He's all of the above. Racist, sexist, ableist, all of that. You know, and in some of these words, he self-referenced about himself, which is why people weaponize it against him. So it's just like kind of easy. With this irreverent brand that he tries to dish out, which is very appalling, so to speak. So it's just like, you know, this guy is crocked, man. I think these videos are a wash. This is by far the funniest criticism sucks I've ever experienced with Synthetic Man, and that's saying something because he's so clueless to the world around him and how people are and how people live is quite pathetic, and you kind of pity it, but there are more people like him in this world, so it's just something that it is what it is.
There's another quest where some of the school members decide to throw a big prank and they kidnap the school mascot, which might be a setup for an okay quest. In reality, you're just solving brain-dead puzzles the entire time. Light reflection puzzles that wouldn't be out of place in a shovelware PS2 game.
He did say that one of these brain-dead puzzles stumped him, so I guess the game is more creative than he gives credit for.
But of course, about halfway through, they have to virtue signal to you and throw in a mural saying how great BIPOC artists are and we all need to stick together. Because, you know, women think all minorities are the same, apparently. And you might wonder why I'm singling out women. Well, the lead writer of this game was a woman. And we'll get into that a little bit more later because it's kind of important, actually, believe it or not, to the plot of this game. Or
give me 1 second, I just want to fact check that. Okay, I am back. There is 7 credited writers, as far as IMDb says, for Marvel Spider-Man 2, and I don't think that there are female writers, but I don't think there's a singular female writer just taking over the show. And if he talks about the self-insert, then that was a writing intern, which has less power than senior writers of Marvel Spider-Man 2. Therefore, they would override that person. Therefore, people erroneously claimed that MJ was a self-insert due to the writer intern, which is far from the truth. And people just took that and ran with it. So I think you're just going to dish out that same amount of idiocy when you spew that out.
At least one major mission in particular becomes pretty obvious. And not long afterward, you go to some African art section of the city.
Is what he just says, African, man.
And there's a whole other side quest line.
Oh god, there's murals in New York being done by multiple people of color, as if that's not a thing in real life. The lunacy speaks for itself.
Here's mom, and with a giant fucking man jaw. That is a man, dude. Look at that body. Wide shoulders, no hips, flat ass. That is...
Oh my god, it's not Bayonetta. If I can't fap, then the game is a 0. A woman? 0 out of 10. MJ? 0 out of 10. We've already focused on the MJ stuff as it is.
a man. And the worst thing is, we know she's a face scan model. We also know what her face used to look like in the old game. And this is what her model actually looks like, okay? Now here's the big twist. This is what the lead writer for this game looks like.
They don't even look the same. You put them side by side. Every time people put them side by side, they don't look, not even the same eye color, same nose color, cheekbones, fucking the hairstyle is not the same as well. People just keep assuming they got this gotcha when it's nothing alike whatsoever. Maybe you could say the jaws are almost similar, but that's all you got. You're gonna have to give it up that this intern got scanned into the game, because interns are like very, very, you know, they aren't as big as senior writers or the people who are scanning folks into the photogrammetry anyway. And supposedly this lady was like remote at home the entire time, because I did see that Insomniac now gives you the option to work at home or work in office. And if you work at home as a intern of writing, all you got to do is like submit a script during email. What the fuck would they need your face for? Like, what would they need it for? You just submit your little tiny portion of the script they allow through like email or some group chat, and then Bob looks at it and he says, okay, Amanda, you did a great job. I will take your suggestion into heart. And you're done. Where would people get this idea that this intern had her face scanned into the game when she's home the entire time and she's a writer, so they don't really need writers at the office if they decide not to be in the office? Like, make the logic make sense to me, because all I see is a heel of bullshit.
Looks like. Oh yeah, that's not a coincidence. Mary Jane is 100% a self-insert in this game, and that becomes very obvious near the end, but we'll get to that later.
Alright, keep telling yourself that.
Now, in a fucking superhero game, we spend the next 5 minutes cleaning up a house.
You're living the duality life of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Spider-Man has to clean the house. He has to furnish the house that he just moved into because Aunt May died. And he's trying to sort of, you know, take over the place, take care of it. you people seem to forget that Spider-Man is a normal human being under the mask, which is why Stan Lee has reiterated this like 5 million fucking times, and each goddamn time you don't seem to understand what the hell he's talking about. Because you don't pay attention to comics, because you're not comic fans, because you're grifters, and that's all you do is grift. To say nonsensical shit out of your mouth like an elephant dumping into the ravine.
And we get a flashback to when Peter was a teenager and he punched a hole in his wall and Aunt May helped him. Don't care, Aunt May had it coming. In fact,
He said Aunt May had it coming. That just shows how little he cares about the story. That just shows it. One of the most beneficial figures in Peter's life next to Uncle Ben had her death coming, as opposed to also aiding him and being the compassionate side and trying to show him the light. They're not Spider-Man fans. I don't care what they fucking tell you. They're not. These people are not Spider-Man fans. They are not Spider-Man fans at all.
in fact, I hope they bring her back and kill her a second time in the
How long has this video gone? I think I had enough. Okay, 1 hour 30 minutes. I'm done, people. I don't think I want to hear this. I don't think I want to hear this jack off talk any further, because it's just like terrible opinions, terrible logic, all the stuff he described himself as low key is something that he is. Synthetic Man is an awful channel, and I'm sure I remember all the stuff too, Death Space and everything. His opinions were still shit on those. I still stand on those. I pointed out this dark bathroom here, this fictional bathroom in the middle of space, and instead of just going around and shooting all these scary aliens, that's all I care about. Just bathroom signs and Kendra, putting herself in Isaac's shoes and all that shit. Like, just stop playing video games. That would be the wiser option. I'm sure there's more trash in this video, but I'm gonna be talking about Spider-Man 2 controversy one more time. I will be talking about how people are saying that Miles Morales isn't Spider-Man, and I will be conjuring up videos from there. Maybe I will let's see if he talks about the Mary Jane sections. Oh man, yes, let's just do this final part and then I'll leave the video off.
game, Insomniac heard everyone's complaints about the Mary Jane missions in the first game, and instead of addressing criticism, like many modern egotistical developers, they decided to double down. Now the Mary Jane missions have turned into glorified The Last of Us missions. I mean, seriously, and Sony games have so little confidence in the average player's abilities that the tutorial extends not just beyond some simple prompts, no, the very first enemy you sneak up to can't kill you. Yeah, how's it going? Kill her. Kill her.
Now that is strange. That the first enemy, he finally has a semi-W. The first enemy that you sneak up on here cannot kill Mary Jane whatsoever. But I don't agree with the ideals that they did not listen to the player, because once again, Mary Jane missions and I'm saying this vividly here. The Mary Jane missions in Spider-Man 1 or Spider-Man 2018 back then were trash. I hated them. I did not like Mary Jane as a character in Spider-Man 1 for the PS4. In this game, she's more wholesome. In this game, the missions are fun because you have an instant stun gun as opposed to waiting to the last section to get one. You got the web shooter upgrade that you get. You can shoot people with it. You could do takedowns, and I'm waiting for him to say the key word as he gets off this segment that's clearly bugged.
What the fuck?
I agree. This
No.
is like, I got a gun to your head, bitch. Why can't I shoot the trigger? It's like,
Oh. And even when you get to the actual gameplay part where you can die, these enemies are so deaf and brain dead, you can straight up sprint up to them and stealth kill them. In fact, you can do it to 2 enemies in a row if you're fast enough.
they got me a few times, so I don't know what difficulty he's playing on, but they were clapping me in the street area. I wouldn't say they didn't listen to criticism though, because once again, the feedback was to make these sections better. So now you have more capable stealth and more capable fighting. You got a gun instantly outright trying to sneak around these environments, and more cooler story and lore details going on, finding out the deaths of some of the Sinister Six by Craven, which is absolutely fucking insane. You're setting up your new big bad. What do you make them do? You make them wipe out the same people that did the Mississippi ass stomp to Spidey in the last game. That's awesome. Craven was cool in this game, and I think that sort of showed the caliber and the danger of him in that pen, grabbing Mary Jane and saying, fuck off, you cannot handle this. That's funny. Admittedly funny.
They're so dumb, as soon as Mary Jane takes cover and goes around a corner, they lose sight of her and are all confused and don't keep tracking your location. All of this on top of the fact that a single taser to the neck knocks them out, when normally it takes like 8 punches to knock out a basic enemy as Spider-Man who has super strength.
Well, I mean, a taser, if it connects properly, it could take a human down. I mean, and then Spider-Man pulls his punches. I mean, it's all the conventions of gameplay anyway. I don't fucking want to be in a stealth mission where I have to taser some guy in the neck like 5,000 times. Why would I want to do that? That's not fun. That's not enjoyable. Like, why would you give me a stealth mission, I want the tools to be able to take the enemy out if I'm behind them. If they see me and shit's on, it gets hard. I that's what I enjoy about Metal Gear Solid so much. You can't just simply fucking run up in there all the time and expect that you won't get seen. If you're not careful, then it gets harder. But Snake just breaks the guy's neck, takes him a while, and he takes him out. You shoot a guy with a trank. Like, I enjoy those stealth missions that give you multiple options, surely, but the takedown is not that bad in this game. It's really not. I've seen much worse.
Now, this is the part where some nerd says, actually, he holds back against normal humans, otherwise...
He does? Why are you mocking the comics? Spider-Man, did you see what he did to Green Goblin in No Way Home? He was holding his punches in the beginning when he was fighting him, right? But at the end, when Spider-Man is... Because... How do I explain this? Because you true comic fans, you know what I'm talking about. When he's fighting Green Goblin in the building and he's holding his punches and he's hitting him and Green Goblin's like laughing, he's not serious yet at that point. But when Green Goblin kills Aunt May and Spider-Man wants vengeance, Spider-Man stops holding his punches. And he is literally, if it wasn't for that super serum that Green Goblin has that twists his mind, he would have punched Green Goblin's head off when he was hitting him in the face hard on that Captain America statue shield or whatever that was in the water, and they were fighting on it. He was solid punching him. And Spider-Man lifts like 10 to 20 tons, and all of that is like solid hitting Green Goblin in the face. If he didn't have some form of endurance with that serum, his head would have looked like a Mortal Kombat fatality. Like a punched watermelon. You underestimate Spider-Man when he's pulling his punches. and he's not pulling his punches at the same time. It's like, Jesus Christ.
He would kill them. Yeah, but he holds back so much that it takes 8 punches versus 1 taser. Why
Yeah, because he's fucking not trying to kill the guards.
doesn't he just have electric fists at this
Well, Miles has electricity, but I'm sure you're not going to talk about that because he's black.
point? In fact, Miles Morales could just electrically charge his punches to knock out people instantly. This
Well, yeah, finally he's thinking with his brain.
gameplay is so unbelievably bad, dude. It is truly an embarrassment. And when we finally make it through,
I thought it was fine. It was just fine. You know, it was much better than first. They at least gave you something to do. And I'm not gonna read into the rest of this video because I deem it as absolute doo-doo water. So that is my coverage on Synthetic Man, done a pure almost 2-hour epic of some of the worst opinions I've ever heard. Tell me what you thought about this in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. I'm signing out later, and take care of yourselves.